Hi. Hello, everyone. Hi there. Welcome to Flicker Effect. Today is episode number 435. We are recording live. It's Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. It is myself this evening running the show, which I'm not used to doing, but good luck for me. And joining me tonight is, of course, Mr. Bobby Jackson.
What's up, Michelle? Look at you running the show.
I
Very
know.
nice.
Well, we're clicky. I'm trying to remember all my steps.
Yeah, I think you got this. I mean, the only thing you'll have to remember is when to what's the thing that David forgets sometimes? To hit the record button. So I
I
think you
think so,
already got
yeah.
that
And I
covered.
already did
So
that.
yeah,
So
see, we're good.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna have a little celebratory sip. Here we go.
All right. While you do that,
Ooh,
I guess I'll
yay.
tell everyone what we're talking about tonight. So
Oh,
the
that would be
Oscars
smart.
happened over the weekend, and we haven't had a chance to discuss it yet. And we'll also be discussing The Last of Us season finale and probably give our general thoughts on the overall season. But I will warn you up front, we will more than likely get into a little bit of spoilers with the last episode since it's been a few days since it aired. So
We will definitely be getting into spoilers. At this point, I'm like,
yeah.
that thing aired on Sunday. It's Wednesday at the end of the day. I'm like,
Yeah, you would think
72
everybody's seen it.
hours.
Yeah, more than enough for sure. Yeah.
My conscience is clear. We are talking spoilers.
For sure. So stick around for that. I think we'll start with the Oscar stuff. So
My Super Bowl.
yes, I know. So I will say this right up front. I think the best winners, the overall winners in the Oscars this year had to be you and David because of that tater tot bar that you made.
Oh,
If only you could bring up a picture to show everyone, because that was like pretty special. I was like, a tater tot bar, you got it going on for the Oscars.
tater tots, some chili with beans. We had
Vegan,
macaroni
right?
and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then we had mac and cheese, and I did not make vegan mac and cheese. I made regular mac and cheese. So it was a vegetarian meal. So then mac and cheese, and then of course like salsa, avocado. There was regular hot sauce, but there was also like wing sauce because sometimes it's kind of nice to kind of shake it up with that. A couple of jalapenos, cheese, sour cream. I mean, like just a lot of toppings.
It looked good. I was so jealous. I was like, oh man, just for the tater tot bar alone, that seems like it'd be a good event to go to.
It's a nice dinner to have, to just kind of nibble on slowly as the events are unfolding.
I don't know if I would nibble on it though. I think I probably would have had a full meal out of it and been done, and probably would have fell asleep during some of the awards.
We dove into it, and by the time we finished the first course, we were on like the second course. That's where you kind of graze for the rest of the evening. But then it started getting challenging to try to keep my tears of joy out of my food.
So what was the first thing that you saw that really kind of had you going? Because for those who don't know, it was not, I would say, the biggest surprise, but it brought a lot of the most emotion, was the amount of awards that Everything Everywhere All at Once won. And it did win the big one, the Best Picture award, and also Best Director with the Daniels. Best supporting actress, best supporting actor, I believe.
Yep.
And I think there was
best
one other
actress and best screenplay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
like they were nominated for 7 and they got 6.
6, I think. Yeah.
Like, that's some good odds.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's very impressive.
And like David and I, we both kind of went into this going, they're going to clean house. They're going to do really well. So nothing really really surprised us, quite honestly. I think the film that did surprise us that also did extremely well was All's Quiet on the Western Front.
Hmm.
That bad boy started racking them up pretty quick, and I was like, dang. I wasn't like, oh wow, I'm so surprised for that film.
Mhm.
It wasn't like that. It was more just like, oh wow, it's the categories were pretty stacked this year. There was some really great film in 2022, and like, it was like, wow, a lot of these categories you really could like throw a dart and you'd be,
Hmm.
anybody'd be good in a lot of them. And so it was mostly surprising that it was getting so many, just because there was a lot of heavy competition, I think. So
Do
yeah,
you
I don't know if that was the second most film that won awards that night, but it won a lot, I think.
I don't know. I guess I never looked at that stat. I didn't see what had the second most awards, but it makes sense that that would probably be the one because I remember it winning at least 3, I think. So, yeah. Wait,
It
have
did
you seen
decently
that?
well. Have I seen We haven't watched that. Dave and I have not
Okay.
watched that one yet, and we want to. It's not for lack of not wanting to. We just haven't.
Mm.
And I mean, historically, war films do very well at the awards. It's just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
it's like period pieces always seem to do really well. War films usually do really well. So that's not that surprising.
No.
Um, but yeah, I guess I'll kind of give my overarching thoughts of the
Mm.
show real fast. So overall, I will say I actually enjoyed these Oscars quite a lot compared to the last couple few years. I feel like it was kind of a return back to what I know for the Oscars and how I
Mm.
kind of grew up watching the Oscars, having an actual host. And I think just the flow of the evening just seemed a little better. I think they weren't quite as quick to rush people off stage during acceptance speeches for most, but there were a few that they did. But overall, I thought they kind of eased up on it a little bit more than they have in the past. I have to say, I think Jimmy Kimmel actually did a pretty good job. I wouldn't say had a strong monologue, but it went over well. And throughout the show, he had a couple of jokes that hit that were really good. Now, of course, I can't think of any of them, but
Mm.
there was like one or two that I looked at her like that was good. There were a few at Will Smith's expense, of course, and rightfully so, based on last year's situation.
Mm.
But no, I thought that he did a pretty good job. Overall, I would say there wasn't very many things that I was super surprised about. I think if there was one that surprised me, if there's one, yeah, there's one that really surprised me. I was like, what? No way! It
Mm.
wasn't like it was a
Which one?
bad what? No way. It was a oh wow. I was kind of hoping that they'd get it, but I didn't think they would. But holy cow, they totally got it, and it was the the songwriters for RRR for the
Oh.
best song that won. I was like, because I even said it like just before the performance, I was like, it would be really cool if they took it. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's going to go to either Gaga or Rihanna. I was like, and that's totally cool. It's like, but it would be kind of cool if the best song was the RRR song,
Mhm.
and then it wound up winning. And I was like, holy cow, this is awesome! Like I was so excited for them. That was probably my
Yeah.
biggest like surprise for me for the evening of like, oh wow, I can't believe that got it. That's awesome. Otherwise, I would say it wasn't surprising. It was very emotional. It's emotional in a good way, I think, for most people. Again, that a little bit, but I think yeah, no, I thought it was good Oscars. I'm pretty happy. It went pretty much exactly where I went. And what's funny is this year, Dave and I forgot to print ballots, and I feel like if we done ballots, we would have
Mm.
I would have just killed. I would have nailed it this year. I was like, of course, the one year I forgot to
Yeah.
print the freaking ballot. Go figure. Like, that's just Murphy's Law, I guess.
Yeah. I
What
don't
about
know.
you? What were your thoughts on the whole thing?
I think I would sum it up based on a couple of words you just mentioned. In that it wasn't surprising, but it was emotional, and
Yeah.
I think that it fit for this year's Oscars.
Hmm.
The overall feeling I got from it was a lack of anything that was really I would say specifically shocking. Uh,
Where
but there was definitely things in there that I was like, oh, I that one I absolutely would have got wrong if I wrote it on the ballot. In particular, Jamie Lee winning over Angela Bassett. I just figured, um, for reasons we talked about before, that Angela would win.
yeah.
But I can understand how she didn't, based on how some of the later awards within the season started kind of going towards Jamie Lee's way. But
Yeah, when Jamie Lee got the SAG award, I was like,
yeah,
ooh, that because the SAG can be pretty good predictor for the
yeah,
Oscars. And so I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. I think for me, you know, I can't remember what we said when we first were kind of giving our like thoughts on the Oscars when the nominations first
mm,
came out, but David and we both basically said it at the same time the next morning on Monday morning. We both were like, "Oh, I thought it was going to be between Stephanie Sue,
Sue,
right?
yeah,
We thought it was going to be between Stephanie Sue and Angela Bassett."
hmm,
It's kind of like, I said it was like
yeah,
either way, I'll be very happy. It was like I think Stephanie Sue's performance was very good,
yeah,
and I was kind of pulling for her. And Jamie got it, and I was kind of like, okay, like I'm not mad at it. I like Jamie Lee Curtis quite a lot. She's probably one of my favorite actresses, not just as an actress, but honestly as a human being. She's pretty awesome. So I wasn't mad. I was kind of like, oh, I'm happy for her, like that's
hmm,
great. But I think it's hard because sometimes the Oscars can be a little maybe this person's due kind of a thing. And I don't know if that
right,
played into it this year because I feel like if it was
could have
going
been,
to play into that, it could have gone for Angela because we all kind of know the truth is Angela should have gotten it back in 1993
mm,
and
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I
It's
think,
hard. I think Angela gave a spectacular performance. I think her performance really basically kind of drove that movie. Um, I don't know. It was hard.
well, my thoughts, I guess, are that with Jamie Lee, in the if you were to just sort of stack up the running time that each of the characters were on screen,
True.
Jamie Lee did have more there, I think. But that's not always necessarily an indicator, because Judd Hirsch was nominated in The Fablemans, and he's only in
He
there for
was
like a
8
scene, like
minutes.
maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, like five,
like
6 minutes.
tops.
So yeah, so
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean that. But I
right.
think that the longer you are on that screen, and the more impactful that performance is, the more likely you would probably get the votes. So you couple that with,
Yeah.
and so then, like, if I'm taking it from that way, I would pull back on Angela, and then make it between, in that sense, Jamie Lee and Stephanie Sue. And
Yeah.
then where I feel like maybe they did get it wrong is that Stephanie Sue, I think if you just compare again those performances and length of time, even if the length of time is more, I felt like Stephanie Sue's character had more range of emotion that she had to go through as a character, and more of an arc,
Yeah.
and that I think that performance was stronger. But I think that what got Jamie Lee into the role is, or into the win, was a lot of what you just said, as far as being able to have that sort of just do and been around for a while, but also, she's to a certain extent Hollywood royalty. She's got famous
Yeah.
parents, and so she's been around the scene for quite some
Yeah.
time. So I could easily see people seeing her name on the ballot, and she did a great performance. So
She
hey, it goes your way. So that's kind of, I think it went.
Yeah, I think kind of going along with runtime, it's that both Stephanie and Jamie were playing very multifaceted and layered. They're an antagonist, right? Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't,
yeah.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't call either of them a villain in this
No,
film per
no.
se, but they're the antagonist, and their antagonist character goes through huge arcs. Really, I mean, more so with Stephanie's character as the daughter. than Jamie's does as the tax person. But
Right.
still, like, they go through a lot. There's a lot there that's layered. I think Stephanie was the stronger performance, but then, like
Yeah.
you said, it goes back to kind of paying your dues. And I think that might be the last like nudge for Jamie for getting it. And
Yeah.
I'm saying all this, and I'm not hating on it. Like, it's fine, you know. It
Yeah, it's fine. I do think that if you were to maybe look at it from a big picture standpoint, and of course, none of us know. We can only just guess at what would have went down or how it goes down. But maybe some of the rationale there is that based on their career and roles, at what point do you think that Jamie Lee might be in another position to win an Oscar versus Angela Bassett or possibly even Stephanie Sue in their careers? I could
also
see,
true.
yeah, I could see either one of them getting nominated again before Jamie Lee might. I mean, and that's just the nature of some of the things that she picks as roles too. So.
Yeah, it's odds. She picks roles that she is interested in. She gets to pick and choose whatever she wants to do. Like,
Mhm.
she's got that luxury. I think, people well into their 80s and 90s can still be nominated. So she does have a chance to
Oh, for sure.
get nominated again, but it all depends on what you said, like her role choice. Like, what is she going to pick in the future?
Yeah.
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but let's go back towards the beginning and talk about the actor and actress for supporting, or I guess actor for supporting. I will
okay.
yeah. Like, way back to the second nomination, the second one. That it was super emotional right off the start. Like, the beginning of the Oscars, it was like it
was a good way to start it.
It was such a good way to start. It really was. What were your thoughts? How did you react to it?
I was nervous because I didn't know which way it would go, and I was hopeful and hoping that Ke Huy Quan would win this one. And it's like, I think I mentioned it to David or someone, that it's nice that he had won all those other ones preceding the Oscars, but this is the one that you really would want, and you would trade all those other ones in for this one if you had the opportunity. So I was really hopeful that he would win it. So when he did win, and his name was called, it was like, yes. And that, like, his speech, of course, was just gonna be so
big
on point.
tearjerker.
And yeah, exactly. And then, of course, it was just really nice to see him be so grateful and humble. And I think, like, to what you said earlier, to me, that's what it made me feel like when I used to watch the Oscars as a kid. That there was a lot of sense from the community that this award did mean the world to them, and you could see it in their face and in their speeches. It wasn't just some old, like, passe thing. It meant something. It was the pinnacle of what their work had been. And so I think that was a lot of what I saw when I watched it. It was people who had never had a nomination winning, and the gratefulness and the level of respect and humbleness that they felt in winning, I thought was just really, really nice to see, because you don't see it that often.
Yeah, for somebody who'd been out of the industry and the spotlight for so long, his performance in that film was so good. I mean, it really, he deserved it 100%. His performance was quite spectacular in that film. And like, I was so happy to see so many people not just always thinking the director and the producers and their agent, who all work very hard for that person. But everybody kept saying, their parents, their spouse, their kids, like, those are the people that these actors and actresses come home to at the end of the day and have to turn off what they've been doing and be themselves with their family. And their family has to deal with them in a way, on this ride of, oh, wow, they went in for a 2 a.m. call they're coming back home at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Like they're exhausted and they're mentally spent, they're emotionally spent, and like their families are the ones that support this, like
Yeah.
it was just nice to see how gracious everybody was, especially for their parents, like when he said for his parents, and then Michelle for her mom. And then, when Jamie talked about her parents and dedicating it to them, I was like, oh, that's when I started crying with Jamie's. I was like, here's her parents, and I love her parents because they're old Hollywood. I was a mess. No, I was crying the whole time Ke Huy Quan was doing. I was just crying.
Yeah.
I'm crying now thinking about it. Like, so emo. I was texting my one really good friend who we always watch award shows. We used to watch them together many years ago. And then now we don't get to watch them a lot because her schedule and my schedule are kind of weird and we've got kids and things get crazy. But we'll text each other during the award shows. And I was like bawling uncontrollably. We're sending emojis to each other and memes were like just crying, happy cry memes back and forth. It was just a lot of, and David's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm great.
Did David have any reaction to any of these wins?
I mean,
or is he stoic?
David's very stoic, but at the same time, like, like for me, like I'll be like, yeah, and I'll be clapping and I'll get all excited, and like there's times he'll be like, yeah, and he'll crack a smile and kind of nod, like his like bouncing nod smile means that he's happy, and so I'm like, hey, he's doing it, yeah, it's if you're getting that, you're getting top peak. Happiness for him for something like that. So no, there was.
So it's not like he. It's not like he says, "I won't tell you how I felt about it until after." It's like he does for the movies,
right?
Like,
sometimes we'll discuss stuff during the commercial breaks, and then sometimes we just won't discuss it. And then the next day we'll both be like, "Oh, hey, how did you feel about that section?" Blah blah blah. That like. Especially there's segments of the Oscars I think we'll kind of like think about the next day. It's kind of like, oh, now I've got an opinion. I really was thinking about that last night. And because here on the East Coast, that bad boy wrapped and we went straight to bed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was after 11:30. I was like, oh my God. Which, like I was a kid, I remember sometimes it would end after midnight. So it ending prior to midnight is a
right, exactly.
But
because I thought I looked at the time. And it was like 8:43 or something that I remember seeing. But I don't know if that's when it ended or if that's just when I looked. But it was over definitely by then. And I was like, oh, man, that's, it's late on the East Coast. For me, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I get it. And I always, at this point, have just always locked in at, okay, you're in for at least 4 hours. I mean, most 4 hours typically. They usually can get it under 4 hours, but I just bank on it being 4 hours long.
Yeah.
There's almost no way that they can ever really shave it down to something acceptable that people wouldn't be mad about because they cut something out here or there. So it is what it is. You just go into it knowing that it's probably going to be about 4 hours.
It's just, I think you're just going to the Oscars knowing it just kind of is going to be what it is. I think this year was a little rough because we had the time change and we lost an hour on top of it. So it's kind of like all the days.
True.
It's like the same Sunday as the time change.
Right.
Like Monday morning, I was definitely pushing my alarm clock. I kept snoozing. I was pushing it Monday. I was like,
no, I feel that. I totally feel that.
I mean, it was all good.
I'm curious. So I didn't see it at the time, and it wasn't until the next day, and I heard somebody mention it, and they were talking about Lady Gaga's performance, and they were upset because of how she came out.
Because she came out all like stripped down.
Yeah, stripped down and jeans. Yeah, and I was like, huh. I actually saw that and I was like, that's good for her, that she came out like just no makeup and the jeans and stuff. Because it wasn't like she was like that before. She came out on the red carpet and she was dressed and she looked.
She was dressed for the red carpet. Like,
so it was an obvious choice.
Totally. Like I read an article and it was about her makeup artist was being interviewed and basically like her eye makeup alone for the red carpet was based on Richard Palmer's Addicted to Love makeup on the Dancing Girls. And then also with a little bit of kind of like Swan Lake kind of going. So it's like you kind of
Yeah,
had
I
that
could
kind of, so it
picture that now.
was pretty
Yeah.
heavy eye makeup, you know.
Mm,
She looked great on the red carpet and she looked great stripped down, in my opinion. And
yeah,
I
that's
like
right.
this strong, it was almost like an unplugged version. And
Hmm. Oh,
I loved it.
absolutely.
I thought it
Yeah.
was really great. I thought she sang her butt off. Like I was like,
Yeah.
dang, Gaga's
Yeah,
fighting
she
for this
killed it.
award. You know, and I was like, 'cause in my head at the time, I was like, she's
Right.
fighting Rihanna. She's fighting her right
Yeah.
now. This is a fight.
Yeah,
And,
no,
you know,
she
it all
killed it.
turned out different. But, you know, I was
Yeah.
like, I thought it was a great performance. That's really weird that somebody was, that they bumped on her taking her makeup off.
Yeah, well, not the makeup necessarily. It was more like the way she came out in clothing,
Like,
and
like the
as opposed to like
jeans
it's the
are
Oscars. You're
offensive to the
supposed, yeah,
Oscar.
exactly, exactly, yeah, that kind of
Like,
thing. That's
it's a it's a costume.
yeah, exactly. It
Like,
matched the performance of what she was going for to me, and so
yeah,
that was very appropriate the way she did that, especially
totally.
considering she didn't show up on the red carpet like that. So it's not like
Right.
she
Like,
had some
who was
level of style
wearing
and
too?
fashion
She
to
was,
it.
I'm trying to remember who she was wearing.
Oh,
Was it an
that I would
was
not
it an
know.
Oscar de la Renta?
I definitely don't know.
Like, she was wearing a serious designer dress, like, and she looked
Uh,
amazing in it. Like,
yeah, she did look
I
good.
don't know, whatever. People are weird.
Yeah, so
That's all I
the
can say.
other
People are weird.
the other award, and there's probably some other ones I'm forgetting, but the other award slash moment that I wanted to bring up was when Everything Everywhere All at Once won for Best Picture, and Harrison Ford presented that award.
I
And so
know.
when they won and Kiwi Kwan, he was going up on stage and Harrison was almost going to give him the Oscar, but he was showing it like, no, you got to give it to the producer or whatever. But
Yeah.
that they showed them hugging initially, and Harrison looks so happy, and of course Kiwi Kwan looks super happy. I was like, oh man, I love
Oh,
you. It's like you
like,
love to see it. You love to see it.
it was so good. He even posted a picture, I guess at some point in the award show, he made his way over to Steven
Oh, okay.
and his wife, actress, now I can't
Kate
think, but
Capshaw.
yeah, to Kate Capshaw. And Kate is in the same movie as him.
Yeah.
She plays the, you know, the other lead in that film.
Right. Yeah.
So he took a picture with the two of them and they were both, all three of them were just gushing. Like you could tell they were all just
That's
so, like, just full of
cool. I need
smiles.
to
You
look
got
for
to look
that.
at it. It's such a cool picture.
Yeah.
Because even
Oh my
Kate is like,
god.
Kate's in there and you could tell the genuine happiness on Kate's face. Like she
Yeah.
almost, you could tell it was almost like she wanted to like give him a kiss on the cheek. Like it's
Oh my
the
god.
cutest picture. And I'm like, the feelings I have.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
it's a lot. Like it was a lot, but it was all good. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
even when Michelle Yeoh won and just the way she
Yeah.
was congratulating or being very much in awe of winning, and then also thanking her parents and you know, just it was just so good, just so good to see them win, and
Have
especially
you
since we had that as our number one movie
oh,
pick for 2022 as well.
it's such a good film. Like,
Yeah.
there's just it's so hard to pick something. Like there's so many things to love in that film.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Michelle Yeoh. Have you seen the footage of her mom seeing her win the
No.
award?
No.
Oh,
What?
it's so good. Her
No.
mom's in
Okay.
Kuala
Okay. All right.
Lumpur
Look
and
at
she's at
this.
like a watch party and everybody is decked out in
Wow.
their nicest dresses for this watch party. So you know everybody's there just for Michelle
Yeah.
Yeoh's mother to support her daughter, Michelle Yeoh.
Uh-huh.
And so like everybody's in this room and then she wins and her mom stands up and she's just like the joy in her face
Aw.
is just
Okay.
radiant.
That's
It's
dope.
such a cute video. I'll have to send you one. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I gotta check that out. That's
Yeah,
so
and then
cool.
like you can
Man,
watch
that's
her
cool.
watching the whole thing, and during the acceptance speech, then
Mm.
when she finally gets to her mom is just like overcome in emotion. She
Oh,
really starts
man.
crying. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it was so good.
Oh
You should
boy.
check it out. It's really good.
I absolutely will.
And I just love how empowered the women were in their acceptance speeches about
Mm.
women in the craft and aging women, like all of it, just women of color, women of different ethnicities, women of different ages, you know, like there's a lot of diversity that's finally people are getting recognized. no matter what they look like, no matter their gender choice, nothing. Like it just, people are just getting recognized for the art that they're creating. And it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter if you've been in one movie or you've been in 150 movies. Like, it's just nice to see people are getting that acknowledgement now. And it's just, I love it. It was a really good Oscars, in my opinion. Honestly, it was solid.
You hope that it will bring a level of change to the industry, because it's so weird. Hollywood is very weird in the fact that in one way it's very progressive and liberal, but in other ways it's still very old schooly and boys club. And it's so weird in that way. But yeah, you would hope that this would bring forth where if there's more female directors who want to direct big blockbuster Marvel movies in DC, that they can do that, and that there's also more of a lens for these different types of stories to be told. Just based off of, I think within the last couple of years, we've had some pretty big Asian influence type movies that have done really well, and so you hope to see more stories from more people. I mean, just the fact that we even had RRR, that representation in there as well. I mean, I find that it's fun being able to see things that you never had a window into before, and getting to see these different stories, and whether it's just an action movie or a love story or just a drama or thriller, there's room for it all, and it just makes me happy that we get to see it more in this day and time than we ever had before, because we have more access to things. So yeah, I'm like, I'm looking forward to what will bear fruit from this, maybe that we'll see in a couple of years from now.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the winners for short film, and it was the Long Irish Goodbye.
Yeah.
And it shows a gentleman with a learning disability is the main focus of that film. Or was it short documentary? I think it was short documentary, right?
It was short documentary.
And they won, and then it's like last year we have people with hearing disabilities winning. Like it's finally becoming more and more acceptable to just accept people for being people and who they are, and it's crazy to me to think that Michelle Yeoh is the first Asian woman to win a Best Actress. That and I am so sorry I don't have her name, that the costume designer for Wakanda Forever,
Ruthie Carter,
is the second African American woman, is the first African American woman to win 2 Oscars.
Right. Yes.
Like,
yeah.
It is 2023 and we're just now getting that. It's just now happening. Like,
and what number Oscar was that one? 75th or something like that? Or
this Oscar was the 95th Oscars.
95th.
95.
So.
Like it's the crazy. Oscars are a slow crawl.
Yeah, for sure.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Just it is baby steps every year. But I don't know. Maybe it's getting better than baby steps. I feel like we're starting to see some toddler running steps here, and I feel like we're getting more acceptance, getting more diversity, and I'm here for it because it's needed it forever. And I think it's about time. It's a good, for what we're seeing right now. I think unfortunately it's about 20 years later than when it should have been.
Yeah.
Based on how the Oscars kind of were. Mind you, I feel like diversity should have been happening the whole time, but I know how our world is. But yeah, no, it's all just really good. I guess the only other thing I was going to talk about was Best Actor. I need to see The Whale because I haven't seen it yet. And I'd be curious to see Brendan Fraser's performance. I keep trying to say it the right way, and it's like I know how to say it, but I still don't say it the right way. I need to see his performance in it because as much as I have thoroughly enjoyed him and his career since literally the dawn of time, since the moment he was on screen. He's been gone for a little while. I mean, and he's been coming back doing TV stuff. And this was really his first big film that he's done in a very long time. And while on one side, I am extremely happy and excited for him, I think this is spectacular. I am hoping that with him winning this award, we can see him do more. And I
Yeah.
know that he's
Mhm.
definitely at a I want to do things at my own speed time of his life.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping that he'll be choosy, and what we're going to see from him moving forward, the quality over quantity is going to be very high. That's my hopes for Brendan moving forward.
I suspect he will mix it up pretty well, because when I think about what he had did prior to the Whale, or at least prior to the Whale coming out,
He does fun
um,
stuff.
there was one movie that came out. I can't remember the name of it at this point. I remember liking it. It was a Steven Soderbergh movie, and he was in it, as well as, I want to say, oh oh, gosh, now I can't think of his name. Was it Oscar Isaac? I don't know if it was Oscar Isaac, but I know that
Oh, I think I know what
the
you're talking about.
Don Cheadle was in it as well. But it came out and it went straight to HBO Max. I think it might have had a theater release, but it was during that after period of COVID and theaters weren't quite open and stuff. He had a small role in that, but he was really good in the little part that he played. I thought he was really good in it. And then he had just done a film that was for Batgirl, but he was playing the villain in that, but that got
Mhm.
shelved. And so we don't know how
Yeah.
it was in that. But, I think that was, like, for me, that was him playing a role that was more, a little bit meatier and serious, but then also going and doing something fun. And so I could easily see him doing more of those two type of things going forward, doing something a little serious and doing something a little bit fun. And
Yeah.
he's already said that if they were to ask him to do another Mummy movie, he'd be on board. So you can tell he still wants to have fun while he's acting as well, even if he does do some more serious roles going forward.
Yeah, his career has always been kind of multi-layered that way, which has been
Yeah,
really enjoyable. Like, a lot of people, I guess, forget that he was in Dead Poets Society. I'm like, how
right.
can you forget that the man was in Dead Poets Society? But whatever,
Yeah.
okay. So, no, I was
Well, you
very
should
excited
watch
that
it.
he got it.
You
Oh,
should
no,
check it
it's
out when you have a chance. Like I said, I actually like the movie. I see why a lot of people didn't. They, their criticisms of it. I get it. But I did like the movie, and I really did like him in the movie.
yeah,
And when I saw the movie, I was like, yeah, I can see if he ends up winning the Oscar, why, because he does do a
right.
terrific performance in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I didn't see it, so I couldn't like totally back him on it
Mm,
outside of I mean, like I support him in all the other ways, but when it comes down to the
yeah,
actual like film and what his performance was, I'm like, I don't know.
yeah,
I have no
yeah,
reference to that, but I'm sure who's probably gonna get it. And I was happy he got it. Like
yeah. Me
it
too.
was it was another moment of like, oh wow, like people are getting acceptance. It just was dessert. I was just really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, definitely a very feel good Oscars, I would
So it
say.
was a feel good Oscars. I liked it. Okay with that. So
So
yeah.
you with that being, I think, a nice little stopping point on the Oscars, are
Yeah,
you
I think
ready
we
to get
covered it.
into The Last of Us season finale?
I feel like I should have like music. I should have the theme song like ready to go or something and be like, yeah, let's do this. So, do you want to
Yes.
talk about just the last episode or you want to talk about the whole thing?
I guess
What would you like to approach with it?
I'll give my thoughts overall on the season,
Okay.
and then jump into that from there. So as I mentioned before, if you've not seen the episode, we will be spoiling it, so turn back now or you will be spoiled. With that, I would say that wow, with this being the first season, I was thinking about it after that last episode aired, and I was like, it's pretty darn close to a perfect first season of television. I think I can remember in a while for a show. Where some shows they might have a slow start, or an episode that's off here or there, and I really never felt that from this show. I felt like every episode was suspenseful. It was well told. It was well shot. It just had a lot of things happening, moving parts, and even in the sense of the one episode I thought was probably the weakest. When I say it's the weakest, I mean weakest in comparison to the other episodes, because it was not a weak episode. It was just all the other episodes were that much better. And for me, that episode was the mall episode. While
Mm,
I did like it, I just think that in comparison to those other ones, it just isn't quite as impactful and powerful, even though it definitely has its punch towards the end of that episode, as the other ones were. So, going into this week's episode or this past week's episode, I did not know where it was going to end or how it was going to end, because as I had mentioned when the show first started, I watched the first, or I played the first maybe hour of the game. So beyond that, I didn't know anything that was going to happen within the show. But I had heard and knew about the overall aspect of this show, or sorry, of the game, when it comes to Last of Us Part Two. So I know our final destination overall. I just didn't know within this first part, this first season, and that first game, how it
right.
comes to a close. So fast forward to the fact of when Joel finds out that in order for um, them to try to get this cure, they have to basically kill Ellie off, and because they have to take it from her brain in order to be able to try and create this cure. And from that moment on, Joel just pretty much turned into the Terminator. He was just on a
Yeah.
tear in the hospital. And what I thought
Yeah.
was so absolutely brilliant about the episode, as well as the game, is that it puts you in a position to where you feel like you've been with this character, so you're on his side. But then, do you stay on his side? Because of what he's basically doing is choosing to say, F the world, I'm going to save my daughter in this case now, with Ellie being that close to him now. And so it puts people into these camps. And I watched different reaction videos and different videos of people talking about that last episode, and you can absolutely see within the panel of people who are there that division. There's some people who are team Joel, and there's some people who are against what Joel did. And I just thought that's so great. I love that it elicits that kind of emotion, because that's what they were going for. They
Yeah.
absolutely were going for you to do that in the way that they deliver it. And so I felt like I could obviously see where both sides lay. In one sense, Joel just massacred a lot of people who were just trying to save the world, and innocent people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was trying to protect someone that he loves, and he's gone through this trauma that he's never quite dealt with. And so he's had this thing where now he doesn't want this to happen all over again. And that to he's just starting to come back into his emotions, feel something for someone once again, and he doesn't want that taken away from him. So he does it for all the wrong and selfish reasons. And ultimately, I felt like most people would probably do what he did if that was their kid or whatever. You felt some way about the person that you've been on this travel with, on this road with, in a journey. But I think where he made the mistake, in my personal opinion, is that he never gave Ellie the choice to do it. It was
Right.
not like his choice to make either. And he decided for her without ever telling her, or even telling her after the fact, that, hey, this is what happened. He continued on with that lie. So I felt like, yeah, I get where you're coming from, Joel, but you also did some wrong there too as well, and not just the innocent people that you killed. So
It's
yeah.
yeah. It's a this last episode is very divisive, as was, I guess, the ending of the first game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's an age old kind of storyline that you find a lot of like books and stories and movies and things that, and it's you know it it's it's a line that I've heard before, and it's like the hero will always sacrifice the one to save the many, and the villain will sacrifice the many just to save the one.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying Joel's a villain. It's just
Yeah.
love makes you do really crazy things sometimes. And I don't think you always think clearly all the time. I think in a way, there's a part of me that's kind of like surprised that Joel was so naive to think that by her going to be the cure, that they weren't actually going to do something that could possibly end her life. It's almost like that thought never entered his
Yeah.
mind at any point in time. I'm thinking,
No.
dude, it's entered my mind way back when.
Hmm.
But so yeah, like it wasn't like it was, and I've never played the video game, so it's not like for me it was a big surprise when they were like, "Yep, we're gonna end up killing her." I was kind of like, "Oh crap, he ain't gonna take this very well," and he didn't. And
Nope.
yeah, like on one side, it's like, wow, he's massacring total, like really innocent people. Like you're saying, they're trying to save the world in essence, and it's kind of brutal, like that he snaps this way. Like his defense, his like, I'm a protector kicks in just like into hyperdrive. And it's kind of scary that that's how far he went for that one. And it's frustrating because yeah, it's not like Ellie had a choice in this. And
Right.
it's frustrating to me because it's like Joel didn't give her the choice, but honestly, the Fireflies didn't give her the choice. Like, oh,
No.
we're just gonna tell her that she's going for tests and we're gonna put her to
Right.
sleep and
No.
everything's hunky. F that. That is BS. It is still that person's choice
Yeah.
whether or not to make that sacrifice. So it's like I kind of feel like the Fireflies are a smidge at fault here.
Oh, of
They
course.
shouldn't have not said anything to her. They should have been like, look, this is what's gonna be. We'll give you a day to kind of think about this.
But then also along those lines, even if they had gave her a choice, did she really have a choice? Like if she had said no, would they have just let her go out the front door? Probably
Right.
not.
Like even if she had said no to it, then yeah. But at that point, if she'd been like, there's got to be another way other than taking my life.
Yeah.
And if they're like, that's the only way, and she's like, no, then I've been like, all right, Joel, do your thing, go ballistic, blow it all up. I don't give a crap. At that point, I'd been like, whatever. At least she had the choice to make that decision. And she just doesn't have that at all. She's completely
no agency at all.
Yeah, exactly. No agency. And that's just not very fair. So yeah, that kind of sucked. And it's just so disappointing to have Joel lie to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disappointing. I'm like, I'm not mad at you, but I'm so disappointed, Joel. Like,
what did Henry say in that one episode with him and Sam and Henry? He said, I'm a bad guy. I did a bad guy thing, so I'm a bad guy. And so he basically killed what was it? I forget the lady's name, but killed her brother basically in order to be able to get the medicine for Sam. And so it's like what you just said a minute ago. Is Joel a villain in the sense? And he's like, well, he did do a bad guy thing in a way, but for a good reason for himself. That was what he felt was the right thing. And so it leaves you in a sticky situation as a person that's following this character, and to like you're going to feel either a level of empathy for him or a level of like, I don't know if I can ride with you anymore like that, because
Right.
you're gone a little bit too far, and then to top it off with a cherry, you also lie to the person that you just basically love now, and so it's like, wow, okay, I don't know, Joel. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like he definitely had the opportunity to go, "Hey, look, I wasn't honest with you in the car.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming out from under a lot of heavy anesthesia. I wasn't honest. Now that you're coherent, let's have this discussion. Let's have the real talk. This is what was going to happen. I went ballistic.
Yeah.
And now we're here. And you can be mad at me and you can hate me, and if you never want to talk to me again, that's fine, as long as I know you're safe at this point. And maybe we can discuss seeking out another facility
Yeah.
somewhere, and maybe we can discuss that if that's what you would like to do moving forward." And he had the opportunity to have that argument with her on that hillside,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't take it.
Yeah.
Like, not only did he lie in the car, but like, you were
Yeah.
given the opportunity to really be
She
like,
asked them flat out.
yeah,
Yeah.
so about what I said in the car.
But
The whole
and at
truth.
the same time, it's like that's like we're coming up with things he could have done and he probably should
Oh,
have done, and the fact that
totally.
obviously Neil Druckmann, who made the game, he knows that these are the things that would have been, could have been, should have,
Oh
but
yeah.
he chose to make the game in such a way that no, he's doubling down on it. And
Yeah.
so where does that leave you as a person that's been playing this game, and now someone who's watching it, where does that leave you as a viewer? So that's like, that's why I think it's brilliant, is because
Yeah.
he made it and didn't take a safe choice out with the way of telling this story. And so it makes it such a interesting
Oh,
conundrum for anyone that's played the game or watched the show. So
yeah.
it's just, it's very juicy.
Oh, it's juicy. It just locks you in. And the thing is,
Yeah.
like, I'm giving all the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and that can be said for almost any person at any point in time throughout their life. You always can do different things in your life. You can always go down
Hmm.
different pathways. I mean, I could look back
Yeah.
at my life, and there's 20 very big moments in my life I easily could have been like, maybe I should do it this way. And I
Mm.
didn't. I made a choice. Like, we're all human. We all make really dumb decisions all the time. But these
It's
decisions that they're making make for a, from what I understand, a very, very excellent video game. And from what I'm watching, a very, very excellent show.
Yeah, so much to the point that I think I heard David say, no, not think, I know he said the other day, he texted me, he was like, he might end up
Oh,
playing the
yeah.
first game because he's enjoyed watching this first season so much. So it's debatable if he'll play the second game before the second season. That's the debate, I
That's
guess.
the thing,
But
because he was telling me about it. He was like, I really want to play the first game now. I was like, yeah, I kind
yeah.
of do too. And he's like, the problem is, though, is I know when I finish that first game, I'm gonna want to play the
Right.
second game. And
Yeah.
I said, well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna want to play the second game too. I said, but I said, where I think I'm gonna be able to not play the second game, and you probably will give in because I know how he is. So I'm like, I am enjoying the show so much, and I'm enjoying not knowing
Yeah.
that I won't play the second game until I see the second. And apparently, the second season is going to drag out for a
Two
while.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 seasons are going to drag out for the whole
At
second
least.
game, basically.
Yeah.
Sounds like, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, like I will be playing that second game for a very long
Right.
time. Whereas
Yeah.
I know, like when he really likes something, he really likes something, and he'll probably like be like, "Oh, I've really got
Yeah,
to
he
play the
does.
second game."
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, "No, don't do it." And he's gonna be like, "I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I did it."
It's one of those things too where whereas another one of those sayings is like, uh you when I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly how it goes, but um that you can be the hero in your own story but the villain in someone else's story. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you very much feel like at any moment someone who's doing something good is doing something bad for someone else in that situation. And you even saw that a little bit with Sam and Henry again, when with
Yeah.
Henry trying to get medicine for his brother, he was doing something inadvertently bad to someone else. So
Right.
it's very much sort of one of those situations where you just don't know how you affect the people around you based on your actions.
Yeah, you're never going to be 100% perfect and correct in a situation. I mean, and
Yeah.
again, it's this age-old trope of even the hero will sacrifice a person to save everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're still sacrificing a person,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's almost everything in a sense is like a no-win situation. Like you're never gonna
Yeah.
always make everybody happy. Like you're
Nope.
never always gonna be right. You're never always going to
Exactly.
save every person. There's still always gonna be something that's gonna cause and effect,
Yeah. You know what sucks too? Oh, go ahead. Look like you wrote.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say it sucks that between House of the Dragon, this, and there was one other show that was recent, Andor, I think it was, that I don't know if the studios didn't have quite enough faith in these things or what, but the fact that none of these had started shooting until after their seasons were over, and in some cases still haven't yet, just is awful. Because that means we have at least probably a 2-year wait before some of these things come back. It's like, how does that happen? Back in the day, the show would be filming, or a movie or whatever be filming. They already started working on the sequel or the second season or whatever.
Season
By the time the
filming,
first season was like halfway through,
I was gonna say season 1 was halfway through.
Yeah.
Season 2 is shooting.
Yeah.
And it's like, when did we stop doing this? Because we were like, the studios are afraid to like lose a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And the thing is these studios are such big studios that put out this stuff, especially HBO. Like, I'm like, you ain't gonna lose your money. Just start shooting the stuff.
Right?
Like, HBO
you don't have
Disney,
faith
I'm like,
in what you put out. Did you guys
it.
just see that? We all saw that. It looked great. Like, you didn't see that and see that it looked great, that we need to start shooting season 2 right now.
Right.
It's like, come on. But
it's like it makes you want to slap Netflix around a little bit when it comes to like Stranger Things, and you're just like, what the hell? And like,
right.
Like, I'm so frustrated with Apple TV and Severance. I'm like, and even a little bit of Ted Lasso. I will say they filmed Ted Lasso pretty quickly, so I'm not too upset with that. But with Severance, like, there's kind of a lot going on there, and I'm like, how did you guys not start filming season 2 of Severance? This show is freaking amazing. Like, come on. Same Succession, like there's so many shows. I'm like, how did you not start filming this thing? What were you thinking? And I guess what it is so that the actors have a break to do their other commitments, blah 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 blah.
Right. I know.
Whatever.
Exactly. Gotta start locking these people in so that they can't do anything else until
you gotta Lord of the Rings this stuff, baby. Yeah. Contract them for 4 years, shoot it all, and be done with it.
Oh man.
Boom.
Oh god, could you imagine? That would have been pretty awesome if they did something like that for Andor. Why they had everybody.
I don't understand why they didn't just shoot the 2 seasons of Andor. Like it sounds like they knew they were just doing 2 seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did you not just take a small break and then shoot the second season?
Right. I agree. There's no argument for me over here. I agree.
Like, oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I don't know, it's crazy. But overall, I will say, like, it's one of my favorite shows this year.
Yeah,
and it's only March.
I know, right?
Like, I just listed a whole bunch. Like, I'm looking forward to Severance season 2.
Yep, right around the corner.
Ted Lasso season 3 final season just dropped yesterday, or the first episode dropped yesterday, and I still haven't watched it. Mandalorian season 3 is on right now, and we haven't gotten into it, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but I'm a little fancy right now with it still. Okay. It's March.
Succession comes out next week, I think.
And the final
very soon.
Comes out next week. Yeah, next Sunday. Because this Sunday we just basically have a break on HBO.
Yeah,
works out well for me and David because we have a few more episodes of Succession we have to finish.
Okay.
So it works out great. We're like, oh great, we can finish it up. yeah, like there's a lot of quality stuff out there, and
Yeah, there is.
it's
You guys
overwhelming
still haven't even watched
sometimes.
Picard yet, from what I understand.
Yeah, we never finished season 2 of Picard. Season 3 is already, half of it's out now. 4
Yeah, about.
episodes are out, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really great stuff out there, but I'm looking forward to all of this. Like, as much as I've really enjoyed this season,
Mm.
there's so many more things. But yeah, this season of Last of Us, like, it's a testament that there's great content out there, and it can be made well. You don't have to have just an absolute, like, huge ensemble cast. It can be
Mhm.
done very simplistically in a way. And I say simplistically, and there's really not that much that's simple when it comes to, like, having
Oh, right.
cities
Yeah.
look like they've collapsed, and to
Yeah.
have people, the clickers with their makeup and their prosthetics as
Mm.
intense as they are. Like, that bloater was insane.
Yeah.
What was that, episode 5? Yeah, like, but
Yeah.
good quality shows can be done. It doesn't have to always be like,
Sure.
oh, we have all these people,
Right.
that are the main
Right.
focus of the show all the time. It's two people with some really great, like, sub people kind of coming in every now and then.
Yeah.
I think so. You said what your least favorite episode was. I think mine was actually episode 4 for
Okay,
me.
I can see that.
I
Yeah.
think for me,
I
it was episode 4 was not the strongest. It wasn't bad. Just wasn't as strong to me. But I did like the mall one. I did like the flashback. I thought it was a good character builder for Ellie. I think you really get a sense of, okay, no, she hasn't experienced loss.
Mhm.
She hasn't experienced family. She hasn't experienced these connections. And then you see that she has it, and she finally has the experience of loss. And that episode does a lot for her, I think.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helps a lot to get her to where she needs to be. But yeah, I would say episode 4 for me was probably the weakest link. It
I
was
just
fine, but
I think one of the things that I saw as far as when people were talking about the season overall, and it seemed like the complaint came mostly from gamers. I don't know if I saw anyone else make this particular criticism against the show, but I get it. Is that they didn't feel like there was enough infected in this series.
yeah,
And
I have
I
heard
can
that.
understand that if you played the game, of course, they're coming at you like almost
Oh yeah.
nonstop in a sense, and you're definitely seeing a lot more of them. For me, as just a viewer, I didn't really, I kind of forgot, really, to be honest, that sometimes that we were in this post-apocalyptic world where there were these infected people. I just
Yeah.
was thinking of it just as a post-apocalyptic world against other people more so than
Right. That's how the
the
show
infected. And
yeah, that's definitely how this show has kind of ended up feeling. I mean,
yeah,
you have episode 5 where they all come up in that one scene
right,
outside of
yeah,
St. Louis,
Kansas City,
Kansas City. They'll come upside, there's a whole Kansas City riot, basically, is what it
yeah,
is. The bloater comes up, it's crazy.
mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool. But yeah, like, not that I compare this show to Walking Dead,
Sure,
but I will say the one thing that I think The Walking Dead did really well is that even as The Walking Dead progresses and much time goes by in Walking Dead,
mm-hmm.
they still have the whole, like, oh, we're in a car, we're driving by some fields, and we can kind of see somebody off in the distance, or we drive by a body on the ground, or you know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah,
still that, like,
reminder that
there's still
you're
the
in these.
reminder there.
Yeah,
And I feel like that is something that's kind of lacking here a little bit. Like, I don't think every episode there needs to be a whole, like,
no, I don't
one
either.
attacking them.
I don't either.
Right. But, like, I feel like the reminder could be thrown out there a little bit more, and it could be done very subtly. And I think that would help remind us the reason it's a post-apocalyptic world is
Right.
because of these guys.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
give me, like, they're driving on a ridge, and way down there's a bunch of them that are trying to crawl
Mm,
up, and they're in a car and they're driving. Give me a little something, but I guess the whole idea is that once they're kind of mobile, they can chase you down, as we've
yeah,
seen.
exactly. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe
I
maybe
think
more attached to walls or built into a tree or something.
so.
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
give me a
background
little
scenery.
subtle, like, hey, that dude ain't moving. He ain't got no
Yeah,
legs. Like, okay, cool. Like, give me something to keep the reminder kind of going. But I will say, it sounds like in season 2, they
yeah,
definitely have come out saying that there will be more clickers. There
yep.
will be more of the infected for sure.
Yes, they did. Yeah. So
So,
I think they
yeah.
knew, and they probably maybe played it conservative with the first season. But they also, I remember seeing in one interview saying that they also didn't want to lessen the impact when they do show up, and so they decided
Right.
in a way to go ahead and not have them like all the time in your face, because then it
Yeah.
becomes, you become numb to it, and it's just kind of, you're desensitized to them being there. So it
Right.
was like,
Which is the
use
other
them
side that happens
when we
on like
need to.
Walking Dead. Like
Yep.
you kind
Yeah.
of desensitize to it. But at the same time, like you still kind of need a little reminder here
Yeah.
and there. So I
Yeah.
think sorry, I interrupted you. Go
No, no, you
continue that.
finished it, but I think you were going down the exact road that I was saying. So go ahead, finish off.
I was just gonna say, like, I think this season they walked a good line. It's a balance. You can't have a huge running for your life from a clicker scene in each and every single episode. We would tire of that pretty
Mm,
quickly as an audience for this
I think
show,
so.
I think,
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
opinion. So
Yeah. Yeah. For the tone that they set and what we saw in this series, I do feel like the audience would have gotten bored of that after a little while.
yeah.
The general audience, maybe not gamers, maybe, but I think the
Right.
general audience probably would have. But
But I
yeah, it was
mean,
very effective storytelling.
it is effective. You know, it's like I like that you could tell that time goes by between a lot of the episodes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like leaps and leaps of time. It's like,
Right.
oh, it's been like
And they
2 or
tell you
3
when it is.
it's been like 3 weeks, you know. They've
Yeah.
basically just been walking and trying not to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You know, like it's a good pacing, I think, because you need to kind of know like I think it would be really boring if you just saw every single day of what they were doing. Whereas, you know, like you can't just was be watching them walk from one town to another town. And yeah, I'm sure they evaded a bunch of clickers, but you can't always watch all that all the time. Like it would just be
Yeah.
kind of meh, meh, meh. Same old same.
There was one thing, one last thing I
Hmm.
wanted to bring up before we head out of here. As I mentioned, I watched different reactions from the this past episode, this finale. And one of the funniest things was the amount of people who commented on the CGI of the giraffe. It was just hilarious.
Oh, well, what I think is funny is like the giraffe was real.
Yes,
It
and
was
that's what made
against
it funny.
a green screen.
A
That
green
was the
screen, yeah.
problem.
Yeah, no one had any issue with the background being CGI. They thought the giraffe was CGI, which to me either says that CGI is really good these days, because apparently you can confuse the real thing with being CGI, or people
Mhm.
just do not have a sense of what, something is real and not. And so a lot of times
People
when
don't
you
know
hear
what a real
about
giraffe
bad
looks like.
CGI, they're just like, yeah, complaining for the sake of complaining, because it was just funny how many people were saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, the CGI on the giraffe, no, there's no way they could get a real giraffe." And yeah, they did.
Yeah.
The
Giraffes are
background wasn't real,
they're pretty docile.
right?
Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I say that, and unfortunately, the ones that are in captivity, they're they're pretty chill with humans. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
not so skittish. I mean, I've not done a safari in Africa, so I don't know how skittish they are in the wild. But like,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
for example, like here we have a safari park that you can drive through in
So like San
Orlando.
Diego, yeah.
Yeah, and you can go do a giraffe feeding, and the giraffes just come up, and you can basically like pet their cheek and feed them
Uh-huh.
greenery. You know, I mean, they're right there. They're
Hmm.
pretty chill. And then we have giraffes at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and then there's a hotel, the Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they're in the open. They're roaming. You
Hmm.
know, so like they'll. There are rooms at the hotel that you can have as a balcony that's the giraffe overlook, you can literally wake up in the morning and walk out onto your balcony and have a giraffe and like feed a giraffe for
That's
breakfast.
wild. That's
Just
wow. That's
crazy.
pretty cool.
It's awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But giraffes are pretty docile. So
Yeah.
yeah, like for them to get a real giraffe to just be chilling and be like, yeah, feed me, cool. Like, isn't that surprising? What's surprising is people not realizing like you can just get a giraffe and feed it. And they're totally
Yeah.
cool with it. Like they're like, oh, you're gonna feed me?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I don't know. I'm very happy with this show. I really am.
Yeah.
It is definitely one of the highlights from this past year. Like I'd say House of the Dragon and or this are like my
Yep.
tops. I'm really looking forward to this season of Ted Lasso.
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying Shrinking. I'm a little bit behind on Shrinking. I've got like 3 episodes I'm behind on. And I'm really
Love that.
enjoying that. I'm looking forward to Severance.
Well,
Very much looking forward to Severance. Cannot wait until that first season ended. Like, just like, what? Like,
I need to finish that. It's on my list of things to finish. I think I'm maybe like 3 episodes away from finishing that first season.
I recommend it for this weekend, Bobby. It's just, you need to feel the frustration of not knowing what's going on. Like, you need to be here with us. It's so good. Yeah, no, I really like the quality level that we get of television nowadays. I think we're in a very prime era of television.
Yep.
Just
they
crazy.
call it what, the golden age? No, not the golden age. I think there's a name for it, but I forget what they call it.
Yeah, I think the golden age of television is kind of a harkening back.
Yeah, exactly.
We're kind of in like a gilded age.
They have a name for it. I forget what it's called all of a sudden, but I'll remember it right after we turn the cameras off. So that's how that goes.
The Jubilee celebration age.
Oh,
the diamond age.
No, I would know it if I heard it, but no, none of those.
I'm just naming off royal birthday like timelines.
Yeah.
The platinum. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have anything else unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
I don't. I did not watch Mandalorian today, so I don't have anything to add to that. Do you have anything? I don't really. I mean, I think all my news the past few days has been very Oscars.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the only thing like newsworthy, I mean, I guess would be that like today James Gunn said that he is going to be writing and directing the Superman film. And we knew writing, but he's going to direct it. Yes. And he put a date to it too, July 11th, 2025.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the big news today, I would say, if I had to pick a news for today.
Yeah. And I think it had kind of slipped out maybe a couple weeks ago. I forget who it was that maybe had mentioned it by Tom Taylor. I think comic book artist or a writer had accidentally said it, or at least he's mentioned it in an interview that he was talking about Superman, and he said something to the effect of like, yeah, and James Gunn, I know he's writing it and he's also going to direct. And it was just like, he didn't catch himself, or he didn't like, ooh, I just accidentally.
He didn't realize he went away.
So yeah, it seemed
like officially today.
Yes, exactly. Officially, we got the word.
It's officially announced that he's going to direct it. So that'll. Yeah. I have to say, we don't have to talk about it. I have to say, I am very curious to see a James Gunn Superman film. Like,
yeah,
he has his own style and his own aesthetic, and I like it. I am just really curious to see him do a Superman.
I mean,
film.
The guy, if you follow him on social media, he is doing his homework. He's reading some old school comics. He's watching the movies, and he had something very nice to say in terms of his write up on, I think it was on Instagram, when he officially announced that he's going to be directing it, and why he chose to now direct this movie as well as write it. So I think that based on what he said, he firmly has a nice handle on the character, and it'll just be a matter of I guess what else we get in store with it, because I think
Yeah.
that he understands the assignment, as they say. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think it'll be good to see.
he's definitely been doing his homework. That's really the only news I have. Is there anything else that you know about right now?
Nothing big, nothing. But
Yeah.
of course, I'll look on my news feed and see
The
something.
moment
But
we
that's
turn this
always the way.
off,
Yeah.
we'll have notifications. That's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah, if there was something huge, David would have broke in and said, "News, breaking news."
If it was really big, I might have seen it, but it had to be pretty big
Yeah.
because he's at a Orlando City game right
Oh,
now.
that's right. That's right. That's
That's
right.
why
He
he's
did
not
have the
here tonight.
game.
He's at the
Yeah.
Orlando. It's not a traditional Orlando City game. It's one for it's a cup play game. If I remember, I don't know which cup it is for, but
Hmm.
they're playing the one team that kind of plays in the league from Mexico is who they're playing tonight. Here
Okay.
they played them actually last week in Mexico, and then this week they wind up playing them again. Like usually for cup stuff like this, usually it's spread out, but apparently it's not this go round. Just whatever. I don't know. Anyways, he's watching a soccer game.
Got it.
Yeah. So
He said "Go City," so yeah, that's what
yeah,
his comment was.
yeah. We'll. Yeah, that's all I got. If that's all you got.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to do this and not mess this up. I've been trying to play with this. I'll do it this way. Okay. Well, guys, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to click that follow icon. We're on everything. We stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We're on Instagram at our own individual handles and Twitter. Bobby's really active on Twitter. I'm not so much, but we all are on all the things. Like you can find us. We're everywhere. All the social medias. So give us a follow, get the bell notifications. We'd love to hear from you too. Write in, give us comments, even after the show. We can touch base on the next show about things, questions that you have. We really love your guys' feedback. So yeah, please feel free to give it. Otherwise, with that, I'm Michelle Hillard.
Bobby Jackson.
It's really weird saying my name before your name.
I was wondering how you were going to handle that.
So bizarre. Thanks for watching and listening. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.